Tear gas.
Hello guys. So we are live. We are in Berlin in a secret location somewhere in the city of Sin, Berlin, and it is me, Troy Francis, and I'm joined by Mr. M. Hello, sir. Or Mr. M's joined by me, whichever way you want to talk about it. Really. Now, this is unusual because we are broadcasting this to my YouTube channel, but we're also broadcasting this to Tusk's YouTube channel. So hello, if you're watching on Tusk's channel or my channel, welcome. But Tusk isn't going to be on this one. We have hijacked his channel, and so we're going to be saying all sorts of terrible things, and we're going to get his channel taken. No, we're not really. This is with Tusk's permission, but he's actually not going to be joining us on this stream today. It's just going to be us.
Nobody complain.
Exactly. So don't complain, please. So yeah, basically we are going to be talking on this stream without Tusk, sadly. So sorry to disappoint you, big Tusk fans. Sorry, Gonzalo, if you're watching this. Sorry to disappoint you. Yeah, it's basically going to be us talking about Berlin and reflecting on Berlin because we've just done a boot camp in Berlin, which Tusk was going to be at, but he was unable to join us. We just completed the boot camp. It's been running for 4 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and today was the final day. And we're just sitting down, having a bit of a shisha. You can see actually there's the
good old hookah.
The good old hookah. We're sitting outside a Berlin shisha bar, Turkish style shisha bar in Berlin. And yeah, we're just going to reflect really on the boot camp and on Daygame and dating in Berlin. Josh says Kit Kat Club. Not actually at Kit Kat Club. Let's see how the stream goes. Maybe we can get over there later. I think it's pretty silly.
Stay tuned. Maybe late night surprise.
Yeah, we might head over to Kit Kat Club if we get the likes up. If we get the likes and the subscribes up, we might take this to Kit Kat Club. But yeah, anyway, so it's been a cool few days, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of fun out here. But I guess what we want to talk about firstly, I suppose, just for the benefit of the audience who are interested in Daygame, they're interested in going to different countries to date and to meet women and so on and so forth. Is Berlin in Germany a good place to do that?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll definitely give my opinion. And then obviously, Troy, you have a place here, so you can speak on more of the overall dating culture here and your experience. But just from an onset, if you're thinking of going on let's say a Daygame holiday or just going to meet some girls and you only go for maybe 3-4 days, I would say Berlin probably not be the ideal place.
Yeah.
A few reasons. One, Berlin, it's so spread out. So logistically, it's pretty difficult getting around here. So there's not one centralized area that a lot of these European cities have. So when you go there, you just pretty much stick to the main area. So logistically, Berlin is quite tough. It takes a while to get around places. There's not one area where you meet people. That's one. And then two, I guess speaking on the culture, we said that, at least here in Germany, it's a tough code to crack.
Yes.
And the girls, while they're receptive, in terms of, I guess, you coming in for a few days and trying to date them, it's not the easiest.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit more of dating in, whether you're from the U.S. or you're from England. And there's that kind of culture where cold approach, meeting random strangers is not looked down upon, but you might get those initial weird reactions where you won't see in the West.
Yeah. I agree with all of that. It's not the easiest nut to crack, and it's certainly not the easiest nut to crack quickly. I think that's the key thing, really. There's a lot of dynamics that are working against you. You've covered them all, but very eloquently there. A combination of all of those things. It's spread out. There's a lot of people who are very transient. People have their own plans. People are going to parties, clubs. They're not. If you're here for 3 days and you're basically meeting a girl on a Friday lunchtime outside a coffee shop, and you're saying, "Okay, meet me Saturday night for a drink because I'm going to be going on Sunday," then your chances of success are going to be limited, I would say, because she's probably got plans. She's probably going to go to Kit Kat Club, or she's going to go to Berghain or something or she's going to be out of Berlin visiting relatives and stuff like this. I do think, though, and you touched on this point before, we've talked about this. I do think that if you are here for longer, so if you're living here, or if you're going to be based here for a period of, a couple of months or something, I do think there are a lot of opportunities here, because the one thing that we can say in favour of Berlin is that there are a lot of very attractive women here.
Definitely, yeah. And just to give you guys an example, so a lot of conversations, the girl will ask, how long are you staying here for? And when you tell them that, because you don't want to lie. So when you tell them, yeah, I'm here for a few days, you can right away see in their face, like, all right, well, it's probably not going to go anywhere. So I knew that was a factor in them. Pretty much, it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
But as Troy mentioned, if you actually live here and you have a base here, and you actually spend some time, there is quite amount of talent, because I compare it to like somewhere like New York, London, different nationalities are here.
Yeah.
So there is quite a bit of talent here. It's just maybe more of like a kind of like a long game, or girl's not going to be available right away. So if you're here, in terms of making plans, that's where it'll kind of be more beneficial. Not just she's not going to come out the next day.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you'll meet the girl and she'll like you and you'll exchange contact details, but then she's got plans this weekend, maybe she's seeing friends, she's out the city, whatever, and then it's kind of like, well, okay, we can meet next week, or we can meet on the following weekend. And then if you're sort of traveling around like we are, then you're thinking, well, I'm not going to be here next week.
Yeah, exactly. Would you also say though too, Troy, that kind of touching upon maybe more of the culture, so obviously being here in Berlin, Germany, it's obviously a Western city, Western culture. So what are your thoughts in terms of, I guess, some of the reactions? I mean, there were a lot of good reactions, but then also, did you think that there's that more perception of, all right, cold approach, they're kind of maybe put off at first, or they're not willing to date a quote-unquote stranger?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that?
I think that's absolutely true. By the way, guys, let us know what the volume's like on this. Trying to bring this relatively close. Let us know if the volume is good. Wanted to do this one outside to try and give you a bit of the atmosphere, but if you need us to speak up or anything like that, let us know and we'll try and sort it. But yeah, I mean, culturally, it's very much a different kettle of fish to places where we've been just recently. So, because we were doing one of these actually in Warsaw in Poland just the weekend before, so we've had two of these on the trot now over 2 weekends. And Warsaw, although Warsaw is westernized, and it isn't the Poland of 15 years ago, it is very much more like a normal Western city, it's still somewhat more accepting, isn't it, of cold approach, of people just interacting face to face in the daytime, without alcohol and just being social. Really, it's the women there are more accepting of it, and that is the pattern across Eastern Europe and into Russia. It seems there's still this tradition that you can go up to somebody that you don't know, and you're perfectly calibrated, you're being polite, you're just saying, hey, I just saw you, really wanted to come and get to know you and have a conversation, and that is seen as perfectly acceptable, not a strange thing. And Germany or Berlin, and a little bit like London, a little bit like New York, and all of these other places, these Western places, unfortunately, it is seen as slightly, this is a bit unusual. Is this person, is
stranger danger? Right?
That kind of vibe. But of course, as we've said before, it's very sad, really, because people should be able to just interact in real life, right? I mean, there shouldn't be anything weird about going and having a conversation with somebody. But this is where we are, and I think definitely here we've seen that, haven't we?
And I would say that, I guess both personally and from some of the students that we saw, a lot of them, I guess, best results came from just meeting girls from other different nationalities. Because here in Berlin, it's quite diverse. Not to say that there were, German girls are very receptive, but I would say more so than not. As an example, like any Ukrainian or Russian girl that we met, quite receptive. But then on the other hand, when it came to like a German girl, it was like 50-50 whether or not the reception or reaction was good. So like some were, again, that stranger danger where she's like, oh, right away it's weird, they'll walk away. But other times they liked it, but they didn't really, nothing happened, because there's still that kind of culture of not being a normal thing. So that's kind of like what I noticed right away.
it's kind of funny because you would perhaps most readily associate socializing in public with more like the Latin countries, and maybe Spain and Portugal and places like this, where it's a bit more, everyone's a bit more like, hey, and there's kind of sunshine. But strangely enough, Eastern Europe and Russia also have that vibe, and Ukraine, which we'll talk about later. But when you get here into Western Europe, even though there is a sort of ex-Soviet kind of feel about some of Berlin, but when you're here in Western Europe, it's just, it just doesn't really have that vibe. So they're closed off to it anyway. And also on top of that, just the way the culture is, because we are seeing all this messaging about all of these issues around male-female relationships and all this kind of thing. It is tougher.
It's tougher, and like again, I'm from the U.S. and probably you can speak about London, but at least from the U.S., when you code approach, it's initially, for the most part, looked as a negative before you can spin it into a positive. So you're already kind of starting from that angle, and I kind of felt it was a little bit similar here in Berlin. Again, not to say it was every German girl, but you kind of felt it. And as Troy mentioned, we just came from Warsaw, and totally different, ball game there in terms of the receptiveness. Even if the girl wasn't necessarily quote unquote into you, they still like that, confidence and just going for it. Whereas here, you can kind of see the difference, and it kind of felt like, yes, this is more of like a Western culture vibe.
Yeah, for sure. But saying that, we also had some great interactions with German girls, and we had some successful interactions with German girls. So it's not like it's. I mean, with all of these things, you should be able to play this on hard mode or intermediate mode as well. It shouldn't. I mean, the strategy we recommend that is very good is to go somewhere where you're more appreciated and where the quality is higher, right? Which is why we talk about Ukraine and Russia and these things. But at the same time, if you live in Berlin or you live in London or you live in a place like that, the skill set is still the same.
Exactly.
The process is still the same. Exactly. Except the fact that you do have, you are up against it a bit. Like in these other places, but you can still do it. And it's like I was saying the other day. I mean, I was saying to one of the students or a student who wasn't on this bootcamp but was asking how it went, and I said, I mean, it was good, because the fact is, there's nearly 4 million people in Berlin. There's a lot of very attractive women, and people are having sex here. I mean, so it is possible. It's just that it's going to be a slightly longer play.
Yeah, and that's why we just want to distinguish. We're not saying that Berlin is a bad city for dating. We're just saying that, if you want to take a solo day game trip for like 3-4 days up to maybe a week, this might not be the best area. But if you are here longer term, whether you move here or whatever the case may be, if you're able to remote work and you want to live here for a while, this would be a great place. It's just more of a longer term. We just said that if you come in for a few days and you're expecting to get girls out relatively quickly, it is a little bit more tough. It's on tougher mode.
So Amar is on the stream. Mr. Amar, how are you, sir? Good to see you, man. If Berlin is so, then I may well hang my condoms in Frankfurt. No, I mean, man, the thing is, I mean, now we're underselling it, and we shouldn't really be underselling it, because it is a great place. It is an awesome place. Like I say, the good thing about it is there are just so many opportunities here. And even today, I'm bearing in mind, in Germany, in Berlin, all the shops are closed on a Sunday. Cafes and things, small shops are open, but all the main shops are open. We went out, we both did sessions today, and there was still plenty of people around. There was still, I was out this afternoon. We went over to an area which I can never pronounce, but it's in Friedrichshain, and there were loads of people around, loads of attractive women. And the client that I was with was approaching, and he got some numbers and stuff. I mean, it's brilliant.
And yesterday was crazy.
In
terms of the quality on a Saturday. So many beautiful women out.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot here, and it's a bit like London in the sense that for that reason it's a good place to train, I suppose,
definitely.
Because you've got a lot to shoot for.
Exactly, and you're going to meet people from all over the world. So, assuming like London or somewhere like New York, you meet people from all over the world.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about some of the nationalities you met that girl from Uruguay. Uruguay. What else? somebody from Moldova. Obviously, there's a lot of Eastern Europeans here. Moldova, Romanians, Polish,
Portugal. There were some of the clients met people from Portugal, Brazil.
I've met. There's a lot of Americans here as well. I met girls from LA here and stuff. I mean, one of our students had the misfortune of actually having a conversation with an English girl here. So there's there's pretty much whatever your bag, it's probably here. So in fact, actually, I mean, just the sheer wealth of different nationalities that we met was quite impressive. And in the area we're in at the moment, for example, very, very Turkish area.
In Serbia too.
Yeah.
Our students met quite a few, myself personally as well, Serbian girls. So yeah, there is quite a bit of diverse nationalities and talent. So obviously learning this, practicing it, it's a great place. We're just saying that don't expect to show up here. And then from our experience, again, somebody else's might be different, but we just logistically and just the sheer, the way it's set up to be, it's more of a longer game, I would say.
Yeah, I think so. And it's a great city for many reasons. And I mean, I've got a place here. I come here a lot. Not primarily for the game. And Tom Ferrero used to say, sometimes there's a bit of a mismatch between a city that's good to live for other reasons and a city that's really good for the game side of things, the dating side of things. And that may be true because many of the cities where some of the most beautiful women in the world live are perhaps not necessarily places that you'd want to end up living long term. Now, the exception is maybe something like Moscow, but I mean, my understanding even of places even in Russia is that it's nice when you're there short term, but obviously you're there longer term. There's things that you have to deal with. So
same thing in Ukraine as well. When we're talking a lot of the Ukrainian girls, like the reason why they moved to either Poland or here in Germany, they just said that because of the quality of life. It's not ideal, but obviously, like when we're visiting, we're seeing it from a different point of view. So while there's a lot of beautiful girls there, that's one thing, but living there is a different story. So you could definitely make the argument that here in Berlin would be pretty much a cool place to live.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. And the other thing that we should mention, which we haven't really touched on, and we didn't explore that much actually, even on this particular thing, because it's the Daygame Bootcamp, is the fact that there's this huge nightlife scene.
Yes.
Absolutely crazy off the hook nightlife scene. Ratchet City. And if you're into that, if you're into nightclubs, bars, stuff like that, obviously you've got all of that going on as well, and that opens up a whole other dimension.
And to be honest, and we can talk a little bit about it, but we in our last evening session, we put during the day, and the students were getting better reactions doing night approaches than doing day approaches.
Yeah.
Because there's such a vibrant nightlife culture here.
Yeah.
So, like, in particular, we don't have to get into specifics, but there was one student during the day, he was essentially not getting the best reactions, but then all of a sudden at night, where obviously it's darker, you would think that all the girls would, that would continue, but he was actually getting a lot better reactions during the night.
He was.
So that's just because, girls are out, out and about, the high energy. So the students were getting really good reactions. It's something to say for the Berlin nightlife.
Mr. M is like Don Draper from Mad.
Have you
had that one before?
I don't, but I do love that show. So thank you for the compliment.
That's a really good
one of the best characters ever.
Yeah. That's a good one. That's a really good one to get.
But they're getting great reactions during the evening.
Yeah. Well, you can see the vibrancy of. Yeah, it's just vibrant around here right now. Some kids screaming in the background.
We'll just talk louder.
Could be future subscribers, maybe. But yeah, I mean, what we did was last night. What we did actually in Warsaw as well, and we did it this time, is we pushed back the sessions on the Saturday. We could do the Friday as well. Push back the sessions a bit. So we start later in the afternoon because there's going to be more people out, say from 2 o'clock till 4:30 than maybe 12 till 2:30. So we pushed that first session back, and then we pushed the second session back and made it more like an evening session. So we're going out between about 8 to 10 o'clock, 7:30 to 10 o'clock, that kind of thing. And we did that last night. here, and it's going to be a bloody riot here in a minute.
Yeah.
We did that here last night, and we went out in Friedrichshain, a few places. We went to Prenzlauerberg, then we went over to Friedrichshain, and Friedrichshain was great. It was just banging, loads of people out, great vibes, and yeah, the responses were really, really good.
Really good, yeah.
So that is a thing to bear in mind, actually. And I know this is Daygame, we're talking about daytime, and you see these videos, and it's people running up and down Oxford Street, and it's 12 in the afternoon, and you think, oh, right, that's what it is. But actually doing this, but in the early evening into the night time, is often a really good thing to do. And we found that actually in Moscow as well. In Moscow, the same thing. You know, yes, you can do the afternoon, but actually, if you go out between about 7 and 11 o'clock at night, go to an area, particularly in the summer, area where there's bars, there's people outside having a drink, socialising, whatever, and do your approaching there. It's really, really good because people are up for socialising. They're in that mood.
I remember some of the live streams. You guys were approaching like 1 and 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
Basically in Russia. I'm like, and you guys were still getting good reactions. It wasn't weird or anything.
No, totally. Well, the thing is, particularly during summer, or if it's in maybe it's in a hot country and whenever, but certainly in summer when people are out and about, you can continue right up until through the night, really. Yeah. Certainly up until about midnight or even afterwards.
Which is interesting because I was telling Troy, and being from the U.S., I mean, maybe there's a few areas, but typically doing night approaches, you have to be a little bit hesitant. Yeah. But obviously, like what we saw here in Berlin, and you're speaking of Russia, it's actually fine. The girls react quite well. Obviously, you're doing it in a calibrated way and in a somewhat lighter area. But yeah, like night reactions, it's not bad at all. And I was actually quite surprised, especially last night when the students were literally throwing themselves into all kinds of different approaches, and the girls, for the most part, were still reacting quite well.
Yes, indeed. So, guys, if you've got any questions or comments you want to stick into the chat, then do that, and we'll try to address them just about Berlin.
Thank you for watching, by the way.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Thank you.
Just either about Berlin specifically, or Germany, or indeed Europe and game, or indeed, us charging around doing these training events and things like that. If you've got any questions you want to ask and about the game in general, then do. Nightlife. Without getting in the way of the screen. Munich is way more conservative and reserved than other cities, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, and then he says, in Munich, I keep running into the same people doing day games since the city centre is tiny. Probably I'll be famous as a local weirdo soon. Well, fame is the key thing, man. So, if you want to get famous as a weirdo, then...
But in all seriousness, if you're able to either work remotely or move, then move. Because, don't be gaming in the same areas. And if you're finding that you are running to the same people, move somewhere bigger.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, actually, the received wisdom amongst day gamers is that Munich is a good place. And
I think I see the hot big man in there. He's about to run into us, so that's why if you guys still see him in the back.
Yeah, there's some pretty interesting ratchet characters in Berlin, isn't there?
Yeah, for sure. Especially, they all come out at night.
Yeah, what were we saying?
We're talking about Munich or...
So the received wisdom is... I've been to Munich a couple of times. I haven't really done a lot of game there. It's all right. I'm not a massive fan as a city, really. It's not as exciting and dynamic as Berlin, but the received wisdom is it's better for day gaming, actually. Because apparently the girls are supposed to be more open and all this kind of stuff. I mean, I can't really verify that myself, but I think I always think though size matters, in the sense that you may as well go somewhere with a big population, just because more anonymity.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of, like, I don't want to say like game 101, but it's like you want to be in a relatively decent sized city, probably minimum population 800,000 to 1 million.
Yes, absolutely.
So you're just not running to the same people.
Yeah. Casual Germ says, "Is this a replay?" No, it's not a replay. This is fresh content. If you've got any questions, stick them in the chat. CC says live game demonstration. Well, I mean, we probably would, but there's not really a lot material here, is there? To be
No,
honest.
but we're talking about in the next country that we're going to possibly, we might, continue with the. As you talk about live stream approaches.
Yeah, he's talking about live stream because we were talking about actually because we're going to be in Kiev quite soon. Mm-hmm. Do you say Kiev or Kiev?
Kiev.
Kiev.
At least American way says Kiev. It might be
we say Kiev. Yeah, we say
Kiev.
Anyway, we're going to be in Kiev in Ukraine in a few weeks' time, and we are talking about doing some reprising the sort of live stream approaches from there because it's going to be a great place to do it. I think.
Definitely.
So yeah, watch this space for that, but probably not tonight, just because it's a Sunday. And to be honest, we're not. I mean, if some
conservative area too.
If some absolute smoker walks past, then we can give it a go. But all right. So Elliot says, how do you guys deal with a brutal rejection? That's a good one.
Well, I don't know what he means by brutal, but do you mean like a girl walking off or saying something? If you can clarify, Elliot. But I can give, my 2 cents. So essentially, we tell this all the time is you never take it personally, and just look at it as if you made the approach in a calibrated way, and for some reason, if the girl reacts badly, then maybe it's just on her. Maybe she's having a bad day, or whatever the case may be. So just don't take it personally.
Yeah.
And then you'll see that when you go to the next approach, it's just going to be fine. But essentially, don't take it personally, and just realize that if you did it in a normal manner, it's usually on the girl, because typically girls don't give brutal reactions. Again, please clarify what you mean by that. But if you mean that they just walk away or they give you a weird reaction, then it's not really a big deal.
No, we very, very rarely see what you would call brutal rejections, and that's us personally, but obviously also now working with quite a number of students and watching them going and doing it as well. And some of them are, with the nicest possible way, not always so calibrated, because when they come into this, and they're also not getting these horrendously brutal reactions. Generally speaking, what happens is the girl will either say, "Oh, thank you, sorry, I've got a boyfriend," or "Oh, thank you, sorry, I'm busy," and she'll walk off.
Yeah, that, or really, they'll just look at you and then they'll just walk off.
Yeah.
So when you mean by brutal, are you meaning like she yells or something? Because that's very rare.
But no, it is. But ultimately, you just have to. Well, the more that you do, the more you desensitize yourself.
Exactly.
I think is the thing, and I mean, you have to just recognise that one individual woman's opinion of you is not statistically relevant. It just doesn't really matter.
Just as a specific example, so in the first session, one of the students, his first approach, he approached the girl, and the girl basically just walked off him, didn't say anything. And then the next approach, he went in, he got a phone number, got a really good reaction. So as saying, don't take it personally, brush it off the shoulder. And as you see, you talk to one girl, she's not into it, but the next girl might really be into it. So again, it's a numbers game.
Yeah, exactly. It's and one woman's opinion, is going to be completely different to the next woman's opinion. It's a misconception to think that, oh, right, so this one woman thinks this about me, so therefore they're all going to think this about me. It's ridiculous. There's 7 billion people on the planet. I mean,
exactly.
So Amar, Mr. Amar, from who we last met in Helsinki, says, how about the tourist areas in Berlin for Daygame? Well, you see, the issue really is that you need to go to places where there's volume. You want to go to places where there's a lot of foot traffic, so you've got a lot of different opportunities, right? Yeah, and one of the things with Berlin is that even though the surface area is pretty big, I think it covers almost a similar surface area to London, so it's really big, but the population is less than half that of London. So what that means is you are walking down streets and even in relatively central areas, and not always seeing that many people around.
Yeah.
So ultimately, that's what happens. Is most people concentrate on the Kudamm, Kurfürsten Dam, near to Zoo Station, or over at Alexanderplatz, which are the main sort of shopping districts. So most people will. Those are the key areas where you're going to see some footfall.
And that's what we were talking about earlier. Berlin being tough logistically, it's so spread out. There's not just one centralized area where you're going to see all the tourists there, like you would see maybe in New York, Manhattan. Here in Berlin, it's so spread out, so you have to.
Yeah,
and choose.
And there are tourist areas that we haven't seen because we haven't done at all sort of like a normal sort of trip here. But there's the Berlin Wall, there's the Brandenburg Gate, there's where the museums are. There's to be honest, we didn't really concentrate on those areas because I don't think there are that many tourists here at the moment anyway because of COVID. I still think the main shopping areas are going to be the best, to be honest. It's one of those really, but then for the later sessions in the day, we were going to some more of the party areas, and that seemed to work really well.
Definitely.
So, right. When you're new, do you think it's fine to have one session with a wing a week? It's just 70 times easier when you're new to this and have a wing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's always good to have someone to kind of push you and you can laugh about it, especially if you get rejection. It's good to kind of have somebody with you. I guess the only thing, though, is long term, don't be reliant on always having wings.
Yeah.
You should be able to, hopefully, in your life, be able to approach any time and make it kind of like integrated into your lifestyle so you don't always need a wing. But yes, at the beginning, if it helps push you, definitely do it with the wing. Just don't be reliant on wings to go out and meet girls. You should be able to do that regardless.
Yes, absolutely indeed. I mean, some of my best sessions actually have been solo. Although saying that, I have to say, after this summer, spending a lot, hanging out with Tusk a lot and Mr. Ram and various others, there is something to be said, I think, for traveling with others and certainly winging with others as well. Just because it kind of, you can keep the morale up. You can have a bit of a laugh. A bit of banter between the approaches, and it's just more fun.
Yeah, it keeps your mind off of it. It's not very serious because if you're by yourself and
we had a great night last night. Didn't we? I mean, and that's obviously not blowing our own trumpets, but we took the students out. There were 6 of us. We were going around these bar areas in Berlin, and it was just really cool. It was really fun, wasn't it?
Exactly, and that's what it's all about. We were telling them that, look, while we're teaching them or we're helping them, don't take it too serious. It's called game for a reason. So have fun with it. That's why the rejections. We were lacking them off. In terms of it was all around great fun while they're still learning.
Yeah.
And that's the benefit of to your question, gaming it with wings. But the end goal though is you're not always going to be with someone, and especially when you travel. Sometimes schedules are not going to align, and you don't want that to hinder you.
Yeah.
So you should still, regardless, be able to do it yourself.
Because in the end, the actual interaction, the thing that matters, is still just you and the girl. Okay, your mates may be standing behind you 10 meters away or whatever, but ultimately, you walk up to that girl. It's you. It's her. You're facing her. She's looking at you. You've got to give it your best shot, and you can get encouragement and all the rest of it from other people, but ultimately you've got to step up to the plate in that moment.
Yeah,
it's exactly. It's like when you're, I don't know, try some sort of basketball analogy here, but when you're going to shoot that hoop, it's like you've got your teammates around you and whatever, but ultimately you've got to step up to that plate, haven't you?
Yeah.
So Joe Montana says, "Hey, how's it going? What are the easiest countries in Europe to hook up for your Asian students that speak English?" I mean, I don't know. Well, I don't know. What do you think?
For Asian students, I mean, obviously, are you talking about depending on is the guy tall or short, but probably we'd say Eastern Europe.
I think so, yeah. I think it's too general a question, really, without wanting it to be a cop out. It's a very general question.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not even sure which area of Asia we're talking here, but even putting that to one side.
It depends on the guy's style, I guess, height, his his personality. Because
so many factors.
Yeah, there's so many factors. Please, if you can be specific, man, be a little bit more specific. It's too general.
I mean, people often talk about Indian guys and Indian guys finding it difficult to do game, and I guess to meet particularly Western women and things like this. But it's so individual on the guy.
Exactly.
Because I know Indian guys in London who are absolutely killing it, and very, very high value guys.
Yeah.
And also, just on recent boot camps, we've taught Indian students who perhaps needed some more work, But we had a guy recently in Warsaw, very well put together, very suave guy, getting amazing results. So it's not one size fits all.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's too like I think people in general need to stop with these general stereotypes.
Yeah.
Because you can have like even somebody from the West, if he doesn't have his shit together, or he's just like this game. If he's just very like he doesn't have anything going on, he's not going to get results either. So
it's very much down to the individual. You've just got to take what you've got, because there are certain things that you're not going to be able to change.
Yeah.
So you know, or a lot of things you can change, even things to looks to some extent. There's things you can do for many of these aspects, but there are some fundamental things you're not really going to be able to change, and you've just got to accept those and then get right. So how do I make myself the best version?
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So what's this one?
He's responding back to
me. Just accept it as part of the game. Remind yourself that you're doing the right thing. Okay, I think that's responding to something earlier, isn't it?
Gentlemen, quick question. I'm a natural introvert and quite enjoy being so. How can an introvert make this stuff a part of his everyday life and not burn out?
Well, that's an interesting question, isn't it?
Yeah, so I mean, to be honest with you guys, I'm a natural introvert as well. But what we preach to guys is being consistent. So maybe do 2 to 3 approaches a day. You're keeping your social skills intact. You're not going to burn out. I think people use burnout quite easily, but doing 2 or 3 approaches a day is pretty much nothing. So if you're able to consistently, and we're not talking about just approaching girls, just talking to people in general, because we preach social skills. So every day, if you're able to interact with people as you go about your life, then naturally, when you do see someone that you want to approach, it's going to come natural to you. So I would say that even if you're an introvert, just practice your social skills when you're getting the coffee, making small chit chat, and then just doing a few approaches a day. That's going to help. You're not just, I guess, saving your social life for the weekend. Just do it every day, part of your lifestyle.
Yeah. I mean, I am an introvert as well. Really, I tend more towards the introverted side in the sense that I like to spend some time on my own to regain my energy and all of that. And I mean, and I was also quite shy as well, and that is because people confuse being introverted with shyness, and those they are separate things. So I was quite shy, and I was also introverted. I'm less shy now because I've thrown myself into just a million different approaches in social situations. Still quite introverted, but you just got to pace yourself and take a bit of time out.
And people think that in order to approach, you need to be this extrovert, very like social guy. Obviously, it helps, but we're trying to, and we see from the students, you can be a quote unquote introvert, but you can still have good social skills and interact.
Yeah, I mean, people have different styles, don't they? Because again, the guy that we were training in Warsaw, who's now I think he's over here for a few days. He was talking about his natural state was quite low energy.
Yeah.
He was saying, I'm actually quite low energy. I'm not like some big party guy and everything.
Yeah.
And
you don't have to be.
And you don't have to be. People, you can play to your own strengths. People have different styles. You don't have to be the guy that runs in like, hey, and it's some massive. In fact, it's better not to be like that. Actually.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like we're normalizing this. So again, you don't have to be this flamboyant individual to approach people. You can be an introvert, but still have good social skills and be able to interact with anybody. And that's how at least we are.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the good thing about Daygame is that you need to be less high energy than Nightgame. I think Nightgame does require a degree of high energy.
Yeah, people, I think they think it's the same thing, right?
Yeah,
because obviously, if you're talking about club game, then that's a lot different. You're doing it with loud environments. You have to be more proactive, I guess, in terms of interacting because it's in a closed environment. But no, it's not black and white.
So Mighty Zane says, greetings from South Florida. Good to see you, man. Thank you. She belongs to the streets of Berlin. So Night, I don't think it's Knight Rider, but it looks like, it is Knight Rider. Insights to the community, it's not up to size only when picking city. Munich has 1.5 million people. Well, that's pretty big. But there's only one tiny area with high density suitable for gaming. Well, that is true. I mean, yes, it's also down to other things as well. Because yes, if there's 7 million people there, but 6.5 million of them are over 70, for example, then
True.
you know, so it's also down to the sort of the makeup of the demographics as well. And it's actually, this is why going to these places, or at least finding people that have been to them, which is why we're doing these reports back from some of these places we've been to try and tell you what it's like on the ground, because sometimes it's hard to pull the specific stats that you want are quite hard to find. Like, for example, there's this idea in Russia that there are more women than men. And people say, right, there's more women than men in Russia, so therefore being a guy, you're your advantage because there's more women around. And that's fine, and that may be true overall, but of course we're not talking about all women.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about women within a certain age range. We're not talking about 60-year-old women, for the most part. You know, we're not talking, but depending on your taste. I know Mr. M's got a pension for the for the more gilf. But you know, so and to find that specific sort of data, I'm not sure. I've actually asked people if they know that data for Russia, because I'm quite interested to find out. You know, how many women between say 18 and 35, for example, are they compared to men? It's quite hard to glean because surprisingly, government statisticians don't seem to be so interested in.
What is the best country for approaching? I heard Eastern Europe and Colombia is the best. I'm interested in moving to Colombia or maybe Georgia in a few years. Again, it's a little bit. It depends on your type. What are the best countries for approaching? Maybe in terms of getting started, we always say Poland, that we just came from, in terms of them being very receptive. But again, it depends on your type. If you like more of a party atmosphere, party culture, Brazil is a great place. Again, they're very receptive. People don't take things too seriously. Maybe there's a little bit of a language barrier. Again, though, when you say what's the best country for approaching, are you talking about for dating, for hooking up, for long-term relationships? It's still a little bit vague. But if we had to say, probably Eastern Europe and at least South America, if you want a more broad answer.
Does legalized prostitution in Germany change how girls behave in Berlin? No, I don't think so. I don't think it's really even on anyone's radar, really. I mean, I don't know how. So many ambulances and stuff, police cars going. I mean, would you expect if there was legalized prostitution, might you think, okay, so therefore women are going to be more open? Because I mean,
there's that argument too about, in the U.S. if it was, is he saying that if it's legalized, is it going to change girls' behavior?
That's what he's asking, because it is legal here.
It is legal here?
It's legal here, and he's asking, has that changed girls' behavior?
Well, I can't speak to here, but I mean,
I don't think so. I just don't think it's on most girls' radar. I don't think women are walking around thinking, prostitution's legal here, so I better act like this. Otherwise, I just don't think it comes into play. I mean, that's what I was trying to say. Wouldn't it be, a woman might think, prostitution's legal here, so I better be a bit more open and friendly to these guys, because otherwise he might just go and pay for sex. But that's not what that's not what we're finding. If anything, it's the opposite. If anything, it's less friendly.
Yeah, I think it's like, don't worry about it, because it's not really worth thinking.
And anyway, I mean, even in places where prostitution is not legal, guys can still get it. So it's sort of what about ethnicity issues if you're from a South Asian country? Well, we kind of covered this before, really. It's down to the individual.
So I guess to be a little bit.
Sorry, man.
Sorry, no change. So just again, we don't want to give specifics, but we did have a student. His background yesterday was from Asia, and he was still getting good results from the German woman here. So again, it's no issues. It's on the individual. If you have confidence, if you have your shit together, if you're living an interesting life. So again, we went back to the earlier question, very broad generalization that's going on here. It's really up to the individual in terms of what's going on in his life. That's what's going to attract the girl.
Yeah, and also, incidentally, FYI, that guy's not particularly tall either, and he was getting good results. So. Yeah. People always gone about height, don't they? That haircut's fantastic. Thanks. Rock out. Peace. Cheers, man.
You talking about my haircut?
He's just talking about mine.
Oh,
sorry.
Okay.
You got the Don Draper thing. So.
Best compliment.
Yeah. How expensive is living in Germany compared to Russia?
Pretty,
well, it's not cheap.
It's not cheap. I mean, you can probably speak to all of Germany, but just so far in Berlin, obviously they use the euro here. It's quite expensive in terms of if you're going out and stuff. So I would say it's more on the expensive side in terms of, compared to other European cities.
Yeah, it's a funny one because, well, a few years ago, Berlin was always regarded as being actually quite cheap, and a lot of people came to move here, like Brits came to move here and stuff. It's like, oh, it's a bit cheap. It's a cool city, but it's cheaper, and it is cheaper than London, but it's not cheap. Yeah. And it's certainly not cheap compared to something like Kiev or Poland and things like this.
Yeah.
But then, if you're bringing then Russia into the equation, I mean, Moscow is expensive, really. I mean, you can get by in Moscow on not very much money, but it's also a baller city. You've got more billionaires there than most other places in the world. St. Petersburg is a bit cheaper, but then those are the main cities in Russia. Then you've got all the other random places in Russia which are very poor. So it's difficult. But Berlin, I wouldn't say, you wouldn't come here and be like, oh my god, it's so cheap. It's sort of
no. Especially we just came from. You just mentioned Poland, and Poland, Warsaw is quite cheaper. So
yeah, you were saying you spent nearly €100 on taxis or something.
And Ubers, yeah. It's and as we were saying, it's so spread out. So when you're jumping from place to place taking an Uber, it doesn't add up.
It's not as cheap as it used to be. It's definitely getting up there. Do you think 100 approaches is a good amount to hit, where you become confident and then will be able to do consistently on your own? It's not a bad number to aim for, is it?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a saying that the first 100, 200 is this. Don't just to throw yourself out there. But again, in the end, we just say as long as you're consistent doing a few a day. So don't have like 100 as a total number. As long as you're doing a few a day, a certain number per week consistently, then you'll naturally become confident. Because you can do 100 in a week, but then if you go the next month or so without doing any, you're just going back to square one.
I mean, 100's not a bad thing to aim for at the beginning, just to break the back of it and get yourself used to going out and talking to people, really. But it's not, numbers get arbitrary in the end, because you don't reach 100 and then you're like, phew, that's it. Now I've reached, Daygame proficiency. It's not like that. It's
just doing it consistently.
Yeah. So living rent-free in your head. Good to see you again here. It says, was there a particular spot in Helsinki you'd recommend when sarging? I don't like the word sarging. It's such an old-fashioned term.
What is sarging?
It means going out and talking to girls.
Okay.
It's an old PUA term. But anyway, well, we stayed in the Campy area, and that was pretty good. That was central and near to everything. So I'd probably check that out. That's the place that Tusk recommends. And I don't really. That's also the only area that I know the name of. I'm just trying to think if there was another bit.
I wasn't in Helsinki, so we're gonna have to leave that one for Troy.
I mean, I'd say the Campy area is pretty good. You're near to everything. So, great responses. Thanks, guys. Cheers, man. Primani Daygame. Chrome Lion. What hustles? Oh, I've got one for this. What hustles cons to watch out for in Germany, Russia? Taxi cons, club promoter girls hustling you to clubs.
You named them all.
They're all there. Tips for avoiding being hustled as a foreigner solo day gamer. Okay, well I've got something for this, but
then I have one too. Well, I can just quickly speak to it. I remember my last experience in Ukraine, and I think you and Tusk mentioned this while you guys were in Russia. So I guess one to look out for is when you're setting up a date with a girl, you choose the venue, because if she is like highly persistent on a venue where she wants you to go to this certain club, potentially if she has ties to that club, you could potentially get scammed for having like a large bill if you go to a table and stuff like that. So if you go to some of these countries, especially Ukraine and Russia, I'm not too much sure about Germany, but just make sure that you choose the venue. Don't let her choose the venue, because maybe she's just trying to scam you off the money. That's the one that I think would be a good one.
I mean, that was what I was going to mention, really. So in St. Petersburg in particular, it is an issue. It's a thing. It happens a lot, particularly down there on Rubenstein, which is one of the key party streets there, really. Or streets, loads of bars and cafes and restaurants and things. It's a really cool street, but there are a lot of girls wandering around there, and onto Nevsky Prospect, which is the main street it comes off. who do seem to be out to hustle guys, and basically it's what you're talking about. They will befriend you, they'll be really friendly, they'll hang out with you, they'll maybe even go for a couple of drinks with you, and then they'll say, oh, there's this really cool karaoke bar, why don't we go, blah blah blah. Yep. Apparently karaoke bars, that seems to be a thing in St. Petersburg, and then you hear stories, the guy goes, he's suddenly you're presented with this massive bill for
and if you don't pay, you have some couple big guys all of a sudden
they show up and then they take you to the cash point and all of that. So it's but so the key thing to look out for, like you said, is firstly, if she suggests some venue and she's very insistent on it, then obviously that's a red flag. Yeah. But also as well, you've just got to kind of use your gut feel a little bit. If the girl is just too into you too quickly, just be a little bit suspicious. It's not that, I mean, obviously, gentlemen such as ourselves, obviously we get girls massively into us from the off immediately all the time. So, but look, in general, right, if the girl is like, you've just met her and suddenly she's like she's just too keen too soon, and it's all a little bit like, whoa, is this too good to be true? Yeah. Just be a little bit careful. And if she then says, oh, why don't we go to this specific venue? And you say, well, no, actually, why don't we go to this place? She's like, no, I really want to go to this place. Then start thinking, well, hang on a minute. This is a little bit odd, because if she really likes me that much, why wouldn't she just hang out in the bar next door? Exactly.
And then just as a final point to this question, sometimes, and we saw this in Warsaw, either guys and girls, they're what I think they call promoters. Yeah. They say, hey, come to this bar, lots of girls, blah, blah, blah. Usually that's another area where they'll try to rip you off and stuff like that. You want to avoid places like that. So that's another general tip. Especially they know you're a foreign guy. So they'll say, oh, lots of beautiful girls, blah, blah, blah. And they'll drag you there and you'll just get ripped off. Yeah. I don't think it's as much of a thing in Berlin, to be honest. I haven't really heard about it in Berlin. No, maybe, but... Warsaw. It was, I don't really think it's particularly a thing in Berlin. But I was the other thing. I had this weird experience. In Helsinki as well. I don't even know if I told you about this one, but I met this Bulgarian. Just for a second. Are you doing? Yeah. All right. Mr. M's going in. I'll tell you so Mr. M's going in. Look, you can see. Look at him running down the street like a bat out of hell. So hang on a sec. Oh. Sorry, hang on. So basically, we were in Helsinki, and I got talking to this girl at somewhere in one of the shopping centres, I think. I was chatting to this girl who said that she was Bulgarian. Didn't speak a lot of English. It was just at one of the shopping centres. We were having a chat, sort of broken English, Google Translate, all the rest of it. And it was our last night. And I was messaging her, and I said, "Oh, come over and have a drink." And I told her I can't see him. He must have opened. I was like, "Yeah, come over to where I'm staying. We'll have a drink, we'll have a chat, whatever." So she came over to the hotel bar, and as soon as she turned up, I was just like, because it was our last night, we were flying early the next morning anyway, and she turned up, and I was just like, I'm not really feeling this, to be honest. She didn't look as good as she looked when I felt she looked when I first met her. I was just like, I'm not really feeling this. Anyway, she sits down, and in this sort of broken English, we're having this conversation. We couldn't get any drinks either because the bar had closed because of COVID regulations. So we're kind of sitting there, and it's all a bit awkward, and I'm just like thinking, how short can I make this? And then she starts saying, can I stay in your room? And I was like, and by this point, I think I decided, right, I don't want this to go any further. I'm not feeling this. She's like, in Google Translate, can I stay in your room? And I'm like, well, not really, because I've got to be up early because I've got a flight for work, and I can't really stay in my room. And then she started saying, oh, well, and she got a taxi to the hotel because she lived out of town. And then she starts saying, well, I can't go back because I don't have a key to my apartment. And I said, well, can't somebody let you in? And she said, no, my housemate will be asleep and I can't wake her up, so I can't go back to my apartment tonight. And I'm starting to think, well, this is a bit weird. And I'm thinking, well, and I said to her, well, look, but you can't stay here because I've got to be up early for a flight.
shall I call you a taxi? And she's like, no, you can't call me a taxi. I can't go back. I've got nowhere to go. Putting all this onus on me. And by this point, the alarm bells were going. I was like, fuck this. So I was just like, well, listen, I'll either call you a taxi or I won't, but you can't stay. And then it kind of went back and forth like that a little bit. And then I tried to get her an Uber, and then my Uber thing wouldn't work. I was getting really frustrated with my Uber thing, and she just went, "Oh, I'll go," and she just left. Thank goodness. But it was very odd. And I don't know what would have happened if I'd have allowed her to come up to the room. But it was just, I mean, the fact that she wasn't actually that attractive, as it turned out, probably saved the day, to be honest. Because if she had been more attractive, maybe things would have been different. But I didn't really want her to come up anyway. I think it was some sort of a scam. I don't know if she would have tried to, like, if she was a hooker and she would have tried to charge me or something like that. But anyway, yeah, just throw her out. But got to watch out for these things. If you've got that gut feeling, this isn't quite right, there's something a little bit wrong here, you know, maybe get yourself out of that situation, because your gut feeling is often right. Joe Montana, hey, how's it going, Troy? Love how you teach about travel games. So one of the easiest countries for hooking up. We've answered this one already. What else have we got here? Someone talking about Black Pearl. Did you do? What happened? Any good?
Yeah, it was good. It was just one too. I know you guys probably didn't see it, but I just wanted to do one for the troops. She looked as she walked by, and I'm like, all right, might as well say hello.
Good stuff. You got the number?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Always. With that Don Draper.
It was a little bit. It was a little bit rushed, because you don't want to be away too much from the stream.
So
it's a preview though for next location of what's to come.
Yeah. Whose cock is bigger? No. Sorry, no. Whose crank? I guess he means cock. Whose crank is bigger out of you two? You both look like you're packing tiny wangs. I certainly am.
Yeah, you guessed right, man.
My wang.
Was there any questions?
Well, how big is our cock? Tiny is the answer.
I think maybe.
Primani Daygame. By the way, I've noticed London doesn't appear to be quite as good for Daygame currently. I live in Soho. Hopefully things will change when travel is a bit easier. Yes,
you can travel now.
Yeah, you should get out of London, man. I mean, I would agree. I don't think London is as good. I think Brexit plus COVID has messed things up over there, to be honest. And also the lack of tourism. So maybe when the tourism comes back, it'll improve.
But like, if you're able to work remotely, so many people are still saying, "Oh, I can't travel." Travel is still open, so there's really no excuses for people to.
No, you well, maybe get some time off work, travel, get out, come to Poland, come to Serbia, come to Kiev. We'll talk about that actually in a second. How long have we been on anyway? We might need to.
Close to an hour.
Okay.
This is the next one.
This guy's talking about Black Pill. Fuck you guys. Fuck society. Fuck chads.
Come on, man. That's not a positive way to go about it.
You're both coping. Be Black Pilled and fuck society. If you want to do that, man. Have you guys been to Thailand and the Philippines? You've been, haven't you?
No, I think Tusk has. He can speak on. But we talked to a lot of people. Just a quick note on Thailand. They say it's an awesome place, and actually a lot of Europeans visit there, specifically Russians. So even if you're not into Asian girls, they say Thailand's still a very cool place to go, and probably in the near future, hopefully I'll go.
They've opened up Thailand, I think, for tourism as well now. You're literally grifting cucks. You're a literally grifting cucks. There should be an apostrophe. You don't need the A, and there should be an apostrophe in. No, sorry, there shouldn't be, actually. Sorry, what am I saying? No apostrophe, but there shouldn't be the A anyway.
Is he commenting?
No. Oh, somebody asking about why women ghost. Well, there's going to be different reasons.
You can make a whole stream based.
Yeah.
Ghosts, guys.
Do you know why some girls flake or don't respond when you're new to this? Is it because your interactions were a little bit awkward, or is it some other reason?
It's a number of reasons. Like, there's too much to go into it. But yeah, just off riff. It could be based on conversation. It could be based on maybe she had a boyfriend she didn't tell you about. maybe in the moment she felt it, but then when she got home, you know, she kind of realized that he was a stranger. There's a number of factors, man. That's why you just play the numbers game.
This Brady is so angry. Hey man, you're selling a fake fucking program. Blackpilled is the reality. Well, look, I mean, actually, as it happens, right, we've got a bunch of testimonials coming out from guys who've come out on the last 2 programs, and we got genuine guys talking about their experiences, and their experiences are genuinely good. I mean, we've seen guys over the last couple of events, couple of boot camps, you know, who've come in with issues in terms of how they socialize, and you know, we've helped them, we've tweaked it, we've listened to what they've said, we've sort of helped them refine it, and they have had improved results. And I think, you know, there's nothing fake about that. There's no smoke and mirrors.
It's not fake, and if you don't want it, it's no big deal. But
we're not forcing it on you, Brady.
Yeah,
you don't have to buy it.
It's all good. Enjoy the stream, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this comment. Don't analyze, or no, don't even self-analyze the first 100. It's pointless. Yeah, that's good. Like I said, I mean, just put it out there. But then eventually, though, you want to start noticing, you start seeing trends, whether you're getting like all flakes or no numbers. Then you realize maybe it's something you're doing. But yeah, first 100, just do them, get them out there, and then if you start to see trends, though, that's where you may have to do some self-analysis.
Yeah. There's more talk about wings here and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, wings are good, man. But again, though, some of your best experiences might taking solo trips or going out.
You've got to be able to do it solo. Exactly. Because when you see that really smoking hot girl, you're probably just going to be on your own, and it's going to be in the morning, and you're going to be have a
an awkward situation.
Yeah, and you're going to be in a bad mood and whatever. You've got to be able to just snap into gear, right? So just get used to it. Somebody's asking where we're going to be next, which I guess, are these black pillars even for real? I don't know. I think there's some.
Here we go. What cities are you going to be? We can talk about that now. Let's save it for at the end.
Well, I suppose.
Any other questions?
People talk about black pill. What the black pill guys don't understand is that personality and life experience can absolutely key. I can guarantee these black pillars are younger, insecure guys. Yeah. I mean, it's true. It's just it doesn't align with reality.
Exactly. That's why it's. I'm giving you guys hopefully some motivation just to go out there, because you know, it's a totally different.
So, Chromeline, any plans to record on the date footage, visual and chat? Not really, no. We talked about it. I mean, I don't know, man, unless you've got any different views on this. We talked about this with Tusk and I talked about this in Russia. There's a limit, really. I mean, you've got to respect people's privacy here, right? If a girl comes out on a date with you and you're filming it and putting it on fucking YouTube, it's a bit creepy. Yeah. It's a bit over and above. I mean, we can talk to you about dates. We can talk about what to do on dates, but you know, there's got to be some sort of dividing line. And we're talking about real human beings here. And we're not just trying to, you know, we do some infields. We blur the faces. We try to protect anonymity. I mean, what Tusk and I have been doing recently, and what perhaps we'll be doing when we're in PM, is doing live filming where it's pretty obvious that we're filming and it's above ball.
Yeah.
You know,
just my thing would be just go back to your guys. You guys literally had like 20 straight live stream approach videos.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's curious about on the date, it's like, dude, why don't you just go out and do it yourself? He wants like to see other you.
No, he wants to see us on a date. I mean, there is a live stream. There is a live stream I did with King Cole when we went on an instant date with a couple of girls. I mean, there's that, but we want to. I mean, you know, it's just a little bit seedy to be with a girl. He's probably into you. You know, just a private person. She doesn't want to be all over the internet, and you know, she's come out to meet you, and then you're secretly filming it and putting it on YouTube. I mean, it's not really right. I mean, we can talk to you about how the things to do and give you some pointers and stuff. But
plus on Tusk's channel, there's already a few already probably.
Yeah, Tusk has got some. Yeah,
you can already refer to those.
This guy's just fuck chads. Life is pointless. Well,
no, man, life is great, man. It's go out there. It's a big world. There's a lot of cool places to visit. Make money.
No, make muscle. This is a hot dude army.
What's this? No answer. That was odd. Is that inward towards the
strategic dating? But we just are. You're not talking about your question because we just answered your question.
I mean, basically, if you want to hear it again, it's a little bit weird, so probably no. But again, there's loads of live stream approaches that they were doing in Russia, and probably more to come in the future. So.
That's interesting, Joe. I was in Berlin last week. Stereotyping Joe as being unreceptive to cold approach is a myth. Yeah. You know, I mean, the other thing to say about all of this, of course, is that people's results are going to differ. You know, like we could go to a place and think we just get blown out for whatever reason, and we think it's terrible, and then somebody else goes and has an amazing time. And you know, I think our perception is, and also the other thing is, we're talking in comparison to these other places. So compared to Russia, compared to Poland,
exactly. And we did say that there were some receptive, but we also mentioned that getting them out on dates is one thing too. So.
Travel, it's getting back to the UK. If you test positive, that's the risk. You would have to stay in a foreign location for 10 days. True. I mean, but ideally you want to set your life up in a way that means that you can account for that. Oh, right. Strategic dating asks, what cities are in your near future? Okay, well, we can answer this now because we've been on for about an hour. So what we are going to be doing very soon is going to Kiev.
Yeah, we're going to be going there soon, but
from the end of September.
Yes,
the end of September, and we are going to be running a bootcamp event there. What are the dates? From the
5th to October 3rd.
September to October the 3rd, we're going to be running 4 days of live infield training in Kiev, in Ukraine, where some of the hottest women on the planet exist. It's going to be awesome.
And just as a note, we just came from Poland here and Germany. We've met quite a few Ukrainians.
Yes.
And if it's anything like a preview, it's going to be a ton of fun. Ukrainian girls are super receptive, obviously super good looking, but in terms of the receptiveness, it's pretty much, you know, everything you can think of in terms of being like a great location. I went to Odessa, Ukraine, which was also really cool, but this is my first time going to be in Kiev, and everybody's been there, including Troy, has mentioned it's a great place just to, you know, learn this, do this, and, you know, have a good time.
Yes, absolutely. So if you're interested in joining us out there, and there are a few spaces left, but they will go soon, then just get in touch. You can email me, troy@realtroyfrancis.com. You can also email Tusk, whose email address I'll put in the description below. But yeah, troy@realtroyfrancis.com if you're interested in Kiev with myself and Mr. M between the 30th of September and the 2nd of October.
3rd of October.
3rd of October. Yeah. So yeah, do get in touch with us on that because it's going to be absolutely awesome.
Weather's going to be great. Yeah, it's just, and as mentioned, if Ukrainian girls, if you've never met or dated one, some of the hottest girls, super receptive. So yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun.
Brady, you're a bunch of grifting cucks. The comments just get more and more.
What is
grifting is like if you're, you know, if you're a scammer, you're a rip-off merchant.
I mean, guys, well, like I said, we show the testimonials. I mean, we'll let them speak, but we're not forcing anything.
No, absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely. Anyway, well, there's enough about this black hole nonsense anyway. To be honest, we're talking on this stream. I don't think any English-speaking guy will get a lot of booty in German-speaking countries. Troy. I mean, again, I don't think that's necessarily true because I know British guys who live here and they're absolutely cleaning up. I mean, as I say, Berlin is a big city. There's loads of attractive women here. There's a massive party scene. Yeah. People are getting laid. You know, newsflash.
Including probably Asians, Indians.
Yeah. People are having sex in Berlin. There's probably people having sex right now
really?
In Berlin. Amazing though it is. So it is happening. It can be done. All we're saying is I don't think it's necessarily. What it comes down to really is if you're a Western guy watching this, there are certain places where you have exotic value to some degree, and it makes it doesn't make it necessarily easier, but it makes it, you know, you get a warm welcome, let's say, or a warm initial welcome. And places like Ukraine, Russia, some of the South American countries and stuff. You know,
Yep.
that's not really the case here. That's all we're saying. But are we saying it's impossible? No. Are we saying that, you know, British guys, American guys can't have sex in Berlin? No, of course not.
And we just said it to you guys. We said that it's better if you say you're longer term instead of just coming here 3 days expecting something quick.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Okay. Well, look, that's probably about it from Berlin, live from the streets of Berlin. Thanks everybody for tuning in.
Thank you very much, guys, for watching.
It's been an awesome stream. Please do give us a like, drop a comment below in the comments section, give us a thumbs up.
And again, if you're interested, Kiev is going to be the next location and probably one of the better locations worldwide to learn, do this stuff. So super excited to bring that to you.
Absolutely. Indeed, it's going to be lit. It's going to be awesome. And good stuff, guys. Thanks everyone for tuning in. See you soon. Bye-bye.